Welcome back to Dynamo Thoughts. We're back for another season of Dynamo Thoughts, or whatever we want to call this kind of thing. I voluntold someone to help me with Dynamo Thoughts, and she said yes. So I'd like to welcome Dana to Filippi. Dana is a great person.
Aw.
And she knows this Dynamo stuff inside and out, or at least well enough to do one of these things.
Maybe inside, maybe not outside.
Maybe not outside, just inside. She uses her inside voice with it.
I don't know that I can use an inside voice.
That's right. We always have to use an inside voice, especially when we want to monetize on YouTube.
There you go.
Speaking of YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And hit that like button if you like this. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button twice to really tell us you don't like it. I think we should get started. And I wanted to talk about what are the essential add-ins or packages, we haven't quite figured out why they're named either one yet, that you should have to get started with Dynamo.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. When anybody is starting to use Dynamo to understand packages or add-ins, I think we've decided that the name is synonymous. I've done some Googling, and Google didn't tell me anything otherwise, so...
Well, then that must be right.
Yeah, Google's always right. So
the internet is always right.
Always right.
Always right.
So yeah, we have some really great things to show today in terms of how we can make Dynamo work better, rather than just working out of the box. You'll see I'm in Dynamo now, and over on the left side, I'm actually working in 2.3 Dynamo release.
Okay.
It's also important to note, Bill, you can't download Dynamo.
You can't?
Dynamo comes with Revit. So when you download Revit, you're getting Dynamo now.
Well, that makes it easier.
It makes it so easy.
And it probably updates Dynamo when you update Revit.
It does indeed. Now, this actually can lead to some issues in terms of, deployment and other things, right? Because as new releases come out, we have to make sure everything works.
Mm-hmm.
And being that Dynamo is still so new, Dynamo 2.3 in particular, I had some hiccups on. But we can talk about those. We can talk about how we can get started in Dynamo and all those good things. So first off, at the very top here, you'll see above the add-ons, we have the standard library inside of Dynamo. And this just comes with Dynamo, right? So you'll see that I can concatenate strings and join strings and do all of that just right outside of the box.
Those of you who are not in the know, concatenating strings is when you add two strings together to create one string. So if you add my first name and my last name together, it would be Bill Debevc instead of just Bill or Debevc.
You got it. Concatenate. We do a lot of it in Excel. It's one of my favorite words, actually.
Yeah, concatenate. It's the word of the day. You can use it all day long.
It is. Wonderful. I'm going to. Mm-hmm. So, however, Dynamo out of the box doesn't do everything we need it to. One really, really wonderful thing about Dynamo is that the infrastructure for Dynamo, really the community infrastructure is really, really wonderful. One thing I want to show you guys is if you go to dynamopackages.com, we can actually see the Dynamo Package Manager, and this will actually show you everything that has been uploaded to the Dynamo Package Manager.
Oh.
The nice thing about this is that people have come in here and created, you can see the authors down here. I should definitely give some insight to them. Most prolific authors, you'll see. They have been so kind to release their packages and update them.
Oh, look at
that. Right. And that's actually really important because, as I mentioned before, with the Dynamo updates, some of those will actually require that the packages get updated as well. And the way that, things are read and all of that good stuff. Wonderfully, these guys are, and women are able to do that for us. So within this list, you'll see quite a few things. We have the newest packages, the most recently updated. I'm not really concerned about those. The one I want to point out is the most installed.
Oh.
And as a new user of Dynamo, I would 100% recommend that you come in here and you download all of these. One thing I do want to point out, however, as we look at this list is notice there's a clockwork for Dynamo 1.x.
Yes.
That's a version Dynamo 1 is a version. We're now in Dynamo 2. So you'll see Clockwork is listed there twice. That's how you know that it's really, really popular.
So you should probably click on them first and check to make sure they're up for your version before you download and install them, I would think.
Absolutely. Okay. One really great thing is that if we go into the Packages tab within Dynamo, we can search for a package here.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll actually get more information in terms of which package works with which Dynamo, which is really nice, right? So if I look up, for example, let's look at Clockwork, because that's one that I'm going to reference quite a bit later. You'll see that Dynamo 0.6.3, that's previous to the 1-point release, the 1-point release, and then the 2-point release. So you can see here, he's coming in here and updating it based off of releases of Dynamo, which is really wonderful.
It is.
We're really, really appreciative of Clockwork.
Those bad monkeys do a good job.
They do. They do. I'm very appreciative of the bad monkeys. I have went ahead, and you can see in here, I've combed through a lot of the scripts that we use in my firm, and I use. And so you'll see I actually have a collection of some of the ones that I use from each one of these packages. These are all the packages that I'm showing here are all in that list of most installed. And these are just a few of them that I work with regularly. Archilab and Clockwork are probably the most prolific. Those are probably the most depended on in terms of Dynamo users. A lot of what I do can come from Archilab and Clockwork. These guys are really, really wonderful.
Okay.
And create some really, really wonderful tools for us.
So what the tools are is they're sort of like a combination of all of the different main things, or whatever they're called, the stuff that's built in, plus maybe some custom scripting.
You got it. So you'll see this custom node here. It doesn't look like a typical node. If I actually place just, let's say, a add color node, you see how this is a single box, whereas this one has some boxes behind it.
Okay.
This tells me that it's actually a custom node. And so if I click on this node, not on the title, but on the node itself, you'll see that,
look at that, nodey.
It actually has some Python script in there, right?
Look at that.
So Clockwork has some scripts. Many of these packages have scripts, which include a lot of Python or even just bundled nodes together that makes the workflow much easier.
So you could have written these yourself if you wanted to.
Sure.
You could have just done the thing and done the Python script, and without downloading this, and then it just would have looked like that previous part instead of just one nice little box.
You got it. Well, I will say that these guys do take a nice way of actually adding some inputs and what they're actually looking for in terms of their inputs. So this is really the beef.
Okay.
Right? This Python script here is really the beef of what's going on here. And you can see it's really straightforward, right? We're just replacing null values with this. But you can see he created some Python because maybe Dynamo didn't do it as well out of the box.
Right.
So that's definitely one that I use very, very frequently. There's also some reporting parameters.
So just to back up, that one, that list replace null value. So that would be used in like a schedule or something where you didn't have a value in there and you wanted it to say something other than nothing.
Well, null isn't necessarily nothing. Null is more of an error. Like maybe you're asking for an integer, but it's a string.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to give me a null value. So sometimes I'll use this, because I'll create tools for our teams, and maybe one team will use the tool slightly different than the other, and sometimes I don't get very good data. Right? Maybe they put dashes and they don't, or what have you. And so I can actually do some replacements to ensure that things are working. Another time is a lot of times when you report views, you actually get some project browser and property views and other things that you don't need. And those will actually give you some null values and errors and all kinds of things. So if we replace the nulls and do those types of things, we can clean up our script, therefore getting less errors downstream.
Okay. So this is...
Sounds complicated, but it's not.
It's not. It's just
it's not.
Instead of checking for if it's null and replace it, if null, then replace this. That's essentially what it's doing.
You got it.
Okay. Got it.
A nice thing also is that they will actually, if I come in here and I just look for replace null, they'll sometimes tell you a little bit more about the script in terms of what the inputs are, the outputs. You'll see it replaces all null values in a given list with a substitute that you specify.
Right.
And you can see here it's asking for the sequence or the list and then what you're actually going to replace it with.
Great.
So yeah, the really, really wonderful tools. And like you said, Bill, I could come through and write all the Pythons and do all the things and teach myself how to do everything, but that would take a really long time.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Let's work smarter, not harder.
That's right. Do less.
Do less.
Right.
But get the same result.
Right.
If not better.
Right, more or less.
More or less. So yeah, some really, really wonderful things. I definitely recommend that everybody downloads those most commonly used packages. You'll definitely find some good things. Yep. And if anything, what you're really finding here is when you go to search for things, like if I look for null, right, you'll actually see that I'm getting some different things in terms of my node values. So anything that has list or input is just out of the box, but you'll see it also will list RIE or Wombat Dynamo, Lunchbox.
Yeah.
You know, so these are different packages that I have loaded in, and then I'm able to search through, therefore making my library that much more robust.
So how can you take like this Dynamo? What is this called? What is this thing called that you've made with all the little boxes?
A graph.
A graph, that's right.
I think
graph.
Both of those are interchangeable.
So how can I take this graph and figure out which add-ins or packages I've used so that I can make sure my friends have the same package? Or is that really a problem?
That's a very good question. John Pearson has created this wonderful add-in called Monocle. And I think everybody should get this package. It's really, really wonderful. John Pearson is an incredible human being. And I don't even think that I have the latest and greatest of this. I'm kind of ashamed that I don't.
Shame on you.
I know. But it's one of those things. Once again, as soon as I get a new one, I got to make sure it works with all the different versions and it works on everybody's computer. So it's a little slow to start. But Monocle has this wonderful, well, they have a bunch of tools, right? They have a aligner tool, so you can align all your nodes together. I specifically, as you can maybe tell from this right here, I have pretty bad OCD when it comes
CDO,
to the organization. CDO.
That's right. We're going to have to alphabetize your OCD.
Absolutely. Add numbers to them. You know,
right. Underscores.
You can add some. Right. You can add some sticky notes. So this is not available, right? We can actually add a note in Dynamo with a just Control W, and that will add a note, right? So if I wanted to come in here and say, Bill, make sure you update this, right? I can add a note here so that maybe it will tell you. But John Pearson has these awesome sticky notes, which are going to fly out in front of the screen and be really present for you.
Yeah, they're bigger.
But Bigger is better. One of the most awesome things that he has is this package usage doggy. I believe that's how you say this. So if I come in here, and this is actually really, really important because as you were saying, if I want to share this graph with my friends, they're going to need all these packages loaded. But not only these packages, but the specific version of these packages. Right. So if I came in here and I looked for the package, remember there was all kinds of different versions of each package. The nice thing that John does is he actually has this package usage doggy. How cute. Right. With a little Shiba Inu. And he lists all the packages that I'm using. And I can actually add a note, that Control W shortcut that I was doing earlier. And it will add a note and add to the group, if they are grouped, not only that package is, but what the version is. John should get a really special Christmas gift for this one.
He should.
He really should. This is really, really fantastic.
For next year, he should get a Christmas gift for it. This year,
a belated Christmas gift, maybe.
So, as a BIM manager kind of person, How do you install all of these packages on everyone's computers?
That is a very, very good question. And that in itself could be a DynamoThoughts discussion.
Okay, we got another one.
We have another one.
That is a great reason for you watching this to subscribe.
Absolutely. So you can watch the next one on standardizing your packages and deploying.
How to standardize your Dynamo.
You got that.
All right, we're gonna put that in the parking lot.
A small aside to hint towards that and why it's such a huge topic is under settings, I can come in and I can manage node and package paths, right? And this is essentially the place where all of my packages live, right? So when I download a package, they automatically live in a folder. And if I look in here, you can see that folder, right? So it's in your app data, what have you. Now, typically when we deploy standards, we like to put them on a big server, right? That gets replicated and maybe gets replicated to everybody's server if you have a multinational firm. Or, it's essentially a very large server that is holding all this. It's not on your C drive. Okay. And when you do that, when Dynamo is looking for content that is on a large server, it is incredibly slow. It's very, very slow. So we at Smith Group and our development team have created a process which replicates those packages and a lot of our certified scripts, which we've developed here at Smith Group, right down to that app data package folder and to your samples folder. So that definitely cuts down a tremendous amount of time of loading.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll learn more about that in the next exciting episode.
Very exciting stuff.
Great.
Because how else do we share this stuff, right, Bill? Gotta share it.
Gotta share it with our friends.
Exactly. Also, I will say that in Dynamo 2.3, this is the latest and greatest feature in Dynamo. If we go to the view, we can actually show graph package dependency.
Oh.
So I think Dynamo took a little bit of a cue from John Pearson.
Yeah.
And they started to actually record, because obviously if John Pearson's recording it, Dynamo knows, right? So now we know if you did share this package and you didn't have Monocle and John Pearson's awesome package usage doggy, and you didn't go through and annotate all of your custom nodes, right? So I know what to load. Dynamo 2.3 will actually tell you.
It'll tell you
what packages you need and what the graph is dependent on in order to be run.
Super.
Yeah, really, really wonderful stuff. I will say that it is good practice to get into, whether it's you yourself making the note, right? Maybe I just do I think I'm not even sure how to add a note, but Control W is the shortcut. Control W, right? I can come in here and I can add clockwork, right? If I can spell it correctly. And I can just add that manually, right? So if you don't want to go through getting Monocle or what have you, obviously John's made it super, super easy. But I would just go ahead and group these. Obviously, that's not a clockwork node, but you would definitely want to make note of what package that is, especially before 2.3 came out. Right? Because there was really no way of knowing what dependency your graph had.
If you still have projects in 2018 like we do, you're going to have to use Monocle.
Absolutely. You got it. Or be really, really tight and stringent about ensuring all your notes are there. I will say that at Smith Group, this is a standard practice. In order for the script to be certified, all the custom nodes have to be noted.
Wow. So who certifies?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. It helps with the CDO.
It does help with the CDO.
It does.
And then once they're certified, then you push them out to everybody.
You got it. So through our replication process, I push it up and that gets replicated to everybody's machine.
Sure. Great.
Yeah.
What else do we need to know about add-ins or packages or Monocle?
What else do we need to know about add-ins or packages?
Data shapes thing up there. Is that another add-in?
Data shapes is really wonderful. I personally try to avoid using data shapes only because I like my users to get used to Dynamo Player.
Oh, okay.
Data shapes, however, is really, really fantastic, especially when Dynamo player inputs aren't enough. It essentially creates a dialogue as you run a graph that allows for pop-ups and additional inputs. So if you needed to get inputs that then produced a list of further inputs, data shapes would be really, really wonderful if it was kind of a 3-step script to get something done. We definitely use data shapes at Smith Group. We just try to keep it uniform with Dynamo Player so that everybody is using the same kind of workflow.
You only use it if Dynamo Player doesn't do what you need it to.
Personally, yes. And there are limitations. There absolutely are limitations as to what Dynamo Player can and cannot do. The interface isn't necessarily as pleasing as data shapes. With data shapes, you can input your company logo, or I've seen some really interesting scripts where people will put GIFs in there, like showing, oh, the job is complete, confetti, or what have you. It definitely provides a really wonderful user interface. Yeah. So I'm definitely not telling you not to use data shapes. It's a really, really wonderful package.
You're just standardizing for your company.
Right. I try to standardize and make it so that every user experience is the same and the next script will be similar.
All right. Well, I think this is enough for our first one.
Wonderful. Well, I hope that some of these packages will help everybody, Bill.
I hope so too. And then we'll get together again and create another Dynamo Thoughts about how to standardize your packages. For those of you still watching, put in the comments down below what you are interested in learning in Dynamo Thoughts, and we'll see if we can get an episode around that. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. You're great.
I think we did great.
We did do great.